Y'all, we live in difficult times. There's war, political unrest, the pandemic, poverty, families being torn, communities ripped by gun violence and people dying every day, police, injustice. It's all bringing so much pain. But y'all, we can look inside our minds and we can understand who we are, become better, and do this thing like we've never done it before. But it all starts with our mental health, and I know we can do it. I believe in you because I believe in me, and I believe in us. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Therapy is Life, where thinking, feeling, and experiencing well-being is what we do. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of words and Dr. Martin Luther King. That's right, y'all. It's MLK Day in the United States of America. We're celebrating the life and times of Dr. Martin Luther King. And I got to tell you, in talking about the power of words, nobody, I feel, understood the power of words as much as MLK, because he used them so well. In fact, he understood the unmeasurable power of words. He knew that words could bring life and death. They could lead to bondage or freedom. He knew that words would be necessary and bring about liberation and freedom to the oppressed of America and throughout the world. So today, as we celebrate him, we want to talk about some of his words and some of his dialogue, because I think it's important for us, not only as a society, but for our mental health, to understand Martin Luther King and his legacy. Brothers, y'all ready for this conversation?
Let's do it.
Most definitely.
So before we get into looking at some of his statements, some of his words, how do you feel about MLK? What does this day mean for you?
I'm trying to find a new appreciation for it, because I feel like the way things go for us and have gone for us in our country over time, things get kind of put in your face and new information gets introduced, and there have been so many people who look like us, who have done amazing and impactful things, that at some point it has started to feel like, because of the fact that we only hear about the same small handful of people over and over every year, that it almost diminishes everything that everybody else does and has done. So over time, it started to become kind of a thing where it was like, it felt like initially it was like, this is great. We get a day to honor somebody who did amazing things for people as a whole, and particularly us. But it also over time has started to feel like, man, it's the only person that we recognize, or one of the only people that we recognize. And that kind of became a difficult thing to me, where it's like every year I don't have to even talk to my kids in February. I know that they're going to hear Martin, Malcolm, Rosa, Frederick Douglass, and the dude who made peanut butter. And that's like the rotation every year. And that's who I learned about every February, all the way K through 12. And you. And I don't have to ask y'all that. I know it for a fact. And you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just what it is. But then I also have to step back and remember, like, it's almost like this is a gateway day, and it's on us to also uplift who else there is that has come along since then. Because if we look at it like the only people that y'all talk about, or that, you know, are predominantly white education institutions talk about, is these people, well, then it's on us to talk about everybody else.
Mhm.
So again, finding a new appreciation, not letting myself feel like I'm worn out, feeling like we only get fed this one small group of people information, and remembering that there's more to see, there's more to know, but we have to go seek it.
Yeah.
Feel you on that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel you, man. I mean, I think Dr. King is a giant amongst other giants,
Hmm.
though, that we've had, and I think maybe one aspect of why Martin Luther King is so highly publicized for what his movement was for Black people was his nonviolent approach related to it, right? And,
Right.
not taking on an attitude of retaliation maybe towards some of the oppression that we had, where on the other hand, you have like somebody like a Malcolm X who was in his same time frame, who I think was just as
Right.
important,
Agreed.
who had a different mentality related to that. But I still don't feel like it takes away anything from MLK because, um, man, one of the most powerful exhibits that I've ever saw was when I was in Atlanta, man, and I went to his house that he was raised in, man, that they have as a museum and exhibit, and just a whole museum that they have honoring Martin Luther King, man. And it's just about his real heart for humanity, man, that he really had, man. And as brilliant of a man as he was, and I think in reading some of the passage that you sent related to us, it said something like, man, this man came up with like 400, and he averaged like 450 speeches a year,
Hmm.
and wrote
Mm.
5 books, man. And this man was highly educated, man, and was a well-renowned preacher. He didn't have to do what he did as far as put his life on the line for our civil rights, man. He could have just went a whole different path and still been a successful man within his own right. But I think the heart of Martin Luther King is just what I admire, man, because I think he truly had a heart for first and foremost Black people and the oppression that we received in this country, and to be treated as equal, but then ultimately just for humanity as a whole. And I think, just to kind of summarize it up, I think that's when he had to be murdered, because he saw equality for everybody in this world, man. And the powers that be obviously want to have a society of the have and the have nots. And I think when he really wanted to fight for the rights of humanity and to put things on an equal playing ground for everybody on this earth, that's when the powers that be had to eliminate him, man. But
Mm.
Martin Luther King to me is just he, obviously nobody's perfect. It's been flaws that's been exposed about him, but I think the heart of that man was just like, man, closest to one of the most purest people that I've ever known, man. So,
Mm.
or that I've read about it and been educated about. So I think Martin Luther King deserves his own day for sure.
No, for sure.
What, Reese?
Yeah, for me, man, I think my level of appreciation for him and his courage and what he did and what he was able to do, um, man, it's like amazing. Like I know for a fact, if he didn't take that leap of faith and do what he did, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Um, so I think I just appreciate him because taking it to me personally, I don't think I would have had the courage to do anything like that at that time. So for him to do that, man, it's amazing for me. I hope everybody. I think the younger generation doesn't have the level of appreciation I do for him. I don't think it's talked about as much as it used to be. And that's kind of frustrating to me personally, But I think that's what it is. I think y'all hit it right on the head with everything else. But I think me is just appreciation for sure, above all else. Um, to give everybody behind him, of color like us, especially young men growing up in the communities I did, an opportunity to have the equal rights that other people had just because they had more money or the color of their skin. He's seen it that we all should have the same equal rights no matter where we grew up or what we look like. So I appreciate it for sure for what he did. Standing on the front line too, and not hiding
Yeah.
behind the scenes or doing anything like that. Like really standing in the forefront. Like this is what I stand for, and this is what we all need to stand for. Like the courage behind that is absolutely it's really unbelievable, to be honest.
No, real life.
And I think we should, really, and we should really do it more. I think we need to do it again. Maybe not an aspect of that, but I think a lot of Black people, African American men that have a platform. That's why I like what LeBron does. That's why I like what other athletes do to have the platform to stand out and speak on different things that go on in our day now, regardless if it's politics, regardless if it's racism or, things that happen with the police does with Black people. I think that we need to embody what he did more and probably really go back. And I know I need to go back and really even restudy what he did. Because I think nowadays with everything we got with TikTok, Instagram, he didn't have all that. He just was like, look, this is where I'm going. Follow me. And we could just literally set our phone up and speak, and it'll go to people all over the world. So I think we need to go back, research, study what he did, and I think we need to do more of that and speak on the injustice that's in our community and in our world now.
Yeah. You know what? I agree to everything y'all saying, and I think he's definitely one of those shining lights, role models for intellectually, spiritually, physically, not a perfect person, and I also believe that you have your Fannie Lou Hamers, your Rosa Parks, you have your Angela Davises of the world who don't get the credit. Your James Baldwins who don't get, who's probably one of the most influential people of the civil rights era who don't get enough credit. But King, he had a unique position in leading the cause for Blacks in the 1960s. He kind of like became the voice, and of course, Brother Malcolm, he came along, and he also influenced things. But then you had your brother Marcus Garvey, who, by the way, was just pardoned by Joe Biden.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, everybody, he was pardoned by Joe. You had
apparently even like multiple civil rights leaders.
Yeah, and other civil rights leaders. But so there were so many people that was involved in the progress of African Americans, and Martin Luther King, he was one of them. We celebrate this day, I think, because of the 1964, 1965 Civil Rights Acts, what happened in Montgomery, Alabama, and how he helped influence some of the change that occurred. And he became such a worldly known figure that they considered to be one time a communist. Go figure that. But with that being said, something on a comical note, what Marvel character was modeled after MLK?
Professor X.
Professor X.
Word. No clue. I don't see.
No clue.
What's the connection? I don't know. I don't even necessarily.
Hold on, wait. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay.
Teach us.
Professor X and Magneto are Martin and Malcolm. Professor X, peaceful, want to use their gifts and be able to be a part of the rest of the world and want to be equal with the rest of the world. Magneto, fuck y'all by any means necessary. We wipe all y'all out. Okay. We're better than y'all. It's something about us that's different than y'all. Y'all can hate us if y'all want to, but we will stand against you and put y'all down. That's their parallel.
Interesting.
And so, so my understanding is that when he wrote the X-Men, he was inspired by the racial tensions in New York City.
Okay.
And that's when, so not just those two, but other characters. It's like, whoa.
But them two being the top leaders of the opposing sides of the side that was for peace and the side that was for us, by any means. We don't need equality with y'all. You know what I'm saying? And that's why
this is so deep, man.
It's so deep.
I didn't know until watching that. Did y'all see that Luther Vandross documentary? Just on some side.
No, I didn't see that.
Did you know that Sesame Street was modeled after Harlem, New York, like the experience in Harlem, New York, black culture.
Oh no.
Sesame Street was. Watch that Luther Vandross documentary.
Oh my
Got
God,
you, got you.
It's
Where's
good,
it on?
man.
Where is it on?
CNN. It's a CNN documentary.
It's
Gotcha.
available
Okay.
somewhere then.
Yeah,
It's
Luther
available somewhere.
Vandross,
Yeah,
man.
I'll look it
Yeah.
up, but I got you.
We
Yeah.
just be influencing everything though.
Yeah, no, bro,
Right.
no, that's well, I mean, I guess if you like into that, you would like, you would hear some of the like background on that. But yeah, Professor X and Magneto is based on Martin and Malcolm.
All right,
Hey,
man.
And you know, and with that being said, influencing, and we'll get into his words, just to understand, like sometimes I hear we'll talk about what's happened in America and how things have changed, or a lot of the things that changed, a lot of the rules and regulations, things that's been created was not done to help Black people. But when people say that, I oftentimes shiver because I realize that most of the change, civil rights changes that occurred in America was the result of pushes by Black people.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for those Black people, it would have never happened in the first place.
Absolutely.
And so when we started thinking about, America and it being its best self, it was because that Black people came and they pushed the consciousness of America to truly be the thing that it said it was trying to be.
Absolutely.
Right.
So
not just for some people,
but for everybody. If you say you this, so when Frederick Douglass said, "How can a slave sing songs of Zion in a strange land?" and he went on in Albany, New York, and he went on this long speech that all these people came to listen to about the conditions in America.
Mm-hmm.
When he did that, like boom, he was trying to call out the consciousness of America, because it was in 1776. It's around the time America declared its independence from Great Britain.
Mm.
So wait a minute, but you saying you want freedom and liberty, but what about
us?
Mm-hmm. Pushing the consciousness, been always doing that. And so MLK was one of those people that always did that. He used words to always inspire us. And so what I want to do is read a little bit of some things he said, and you guys kind of respond to what you thought. All right. The first statement, you ready? Here for me. We must accept infinite disappointment. No, excuse me. We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. We must face finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope.
Yeah.
Keywords: finite and infinite. Thoughts?
I mean, it's looking at it and understanding that disappointment or anything negative, like we talked about, in the last episode, you might have a bad moment. That's all finite. Those are things that don't last forever. They come and they go, and you can still choose to, and you need to look at it like that, understand that that's what that is, and then be able to continue to progress. Because no matter what we have, when we look back as far back as we possibly can look, there's always the possibility of things improving, changing, getting better, and they have, and that is where you have infinite hope. There's always a hope for things to continue to get better. Wherever we at, even where we are right now, there's a better than what we are currently experiencing.
I want to say about hope.
Perfect.
Hope, perfect. I want to say one of the things about hope. Hope is never based on something we actually can necessarily prove.
Right.
And so sometimes people say, "Well, I want everything to be based on what I can prove." Yet, not everything that happens well is stuff we can actually prove. Some things we just have to get to that place. We have to believe we can get to that place, because we don't always have the quantifiable evidence to say we will get there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
To many people today, it might seem like, oh my gosh, but we got to have hope that it's not going to be as bad.
But I actually disagree, because I think like I said, looking at it, we have the proof. We have the proof to say, like in the moment, it might not feel like it's possible,
right?
But you hope that it is. But the fact that we can, like I said, look back and say, they hoped that it would be what it's like today, and it happened. That's the proof. So that means we need to continue to have that hope, because we know it's possible. That's the proof. Because it was somebody who thought, oh, we don't have to deal with religious persecution. It was somebody who hoped that they would be able to sit down with a white person and be able to eat in the same restaurant as somebody who hoped that we would be able to It was somebody, a tech nerd at Apple that was saying, I hope we can be able to put videos and cameras inside of our cell phones when the cell phones used to just be a giant brick and couldn't do nothing but take calls. It happened.
Gotcha.
That's the proof.
There you go. You so right. Good job on that. Good job. We'll go to the next one. We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. Thoughts on that, fellas?
Yeah, man. I mean, we must live together as brothers or perish as fools, right? So that the perish was the word, right?
Mm-hmm.
The death, to die,
Mm-hmm.
and ignorance, honestly, when you talk about being fools. So it's life in unity, it's life in us working together and being able to um cooperatively, what I'm saying, build together. But if we continue to stay divided and not work together, we're gonna die. You know what I'm saying? It's inevitable, man. We'll eventually perish, man. And so I think that's a profound statement that we definitely need to dwell on today, because look at our circumstances today. We are perishing as a people because we're killing each other. We're looking at each other as the enemy instead of coming together and building together and unifying. So that was really almost like a prophetic statement for him to say that, because we're witnessing what the opposite of that is right now. We're perishing by not working together. We're perishing by not looking at our fellow brother as a brother or a sister. We're attacking each other on social media, and attacking each other in the streets with gun violence. So I was a prophetic statement for him to say that. And we got to take heed to that, man, because we're dying instead of living and flourishing.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You got any other thoughts on that? Move on. Perish.
No, I think he hit it right on the head.
Okay, here we go. Violence is immoral because it thrives on hatred rather than love. It destroys communities and makes brotherhood impossible. It leaves society in a monologue rather than a dialogue. Let's talk about that monologue dialogue thing. We just talking about brotherhood coming together. So let's talk about what that monologue is versus dialogue. Anybody want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, mono is a self conversation,
Yeah,
right?
the self conversation. It's conversation with self. The problem with the self conversation is when you have a self conversation, you're only considering your own thoughts, feelings, and emotions. You're not considering anybody else's thoughts, feelings. It's just what you think. The reason why we here where we at today is oftentimes is because people having their own opinions, feelings, ideas, beliefs, and not considering the thoughts and feelings of others. So that requires a dialogue. So we got to sit here, we got to have a discussion, we got to talk, we got to share feelings and emotions so we can compromise, so we can work together. And we can't do that in the monologue. We have to do a dialogue. That's good in theater when you're trying to hear somebody's thoughts, but that's good in a soliloquy, but that's not reality. In order for us to move forward, we have to have a dialogue of opinions.
Right.
It was good in the 1960s, and it's important now that we have a dialogue.
I mean, it's funny because it also is deeper than that to a degree, because it's also opposing sides. Like Democrats and Republicans, they all, if all the Republicans are in agreement on one thing, that's a internal, it's like it's still a monologue within this, an echo chamber.
Exactly.
They all feeling the same, while there's still the opposition over here, where there should be the dialogue, where there should be the we need to come together, instead of it's us over here and y'all over there. It needs to come together.
Exactly. We need to be able to come together and have a real conversation. But I think they keep us divided by promoting fears, the extreme fears about things, versus really coming together and having an honest conversation about what we all want.
It is always the extremes, and the crazy thing about it is it's typically the extremes that don't that aren't even real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like an extreme that
Yeah.
maybe could be possible in the worst case scenario, and because
Right.
that is what that is, that's what gets pushed, and then that's what that's what these people who will choose to just listen and take whatever it is that come across their desk, won't research, won't study, won't actually put no real thought into it because they have no leadership mentality about themselves. They just will take what's being fed to them and then run with it. And then they stay in that one stupid spot and they base everything about themselves, they opinions, their personality off of those extremes that are not even the reality, which is just more fear mongering and more division.
Yeah. I mean, this is a personal opinion. Y'all chime in or let me know what y'all think about it, because when you talk about the difference between dialogue and monologue, and we look at the space of technology that we in with like social media, right, where everybody puts out comments or thoughts and perspectives on feelings, like with Twitter outbursts, right? And I feel like people feel like you can make change by putting these statements or these thoughts out, but it's not really true dialogue. I feel like true dialogue takes place in person when you can have a face-to-face conversation with somebody and kind of force, you to be able to hear, listen, and put out thoughts in an in-person way rather than just putting out these statements and thoughts in a way where sometimes I feel like you can't really convey your true thoughts or feelings, because it's just written text that you might read and have a perspective on. And I feel like that causes more controversy or more back and forth when somebody just puts out a blanket statement and then just leaves it out as that's my opinion, you got to take it. And then somebody else puts something else out. It doesn't cause true dialogue, in my opinion.
Right.
That's why I don't
Yeah.
like going back and forth with people on social media.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think there's a difference, and I think we live in a society where there's a confusion. There's a difference between having opinions and speaking facts. Things are not true just because you feel it.
Right.
Just because you say it
Yeah.
doesn't make it true.
Mhm.
And I think when we have a dialogue, we can really begin to challenge our feelings and emotions and see what's true. One of the things I love about therapy is people get to have a dialogue, a monologue, but they also get to have a dialogue, and they get to challenge what they think, what they feel and think, and examine, is this really true? And I think as a country, as people, we need to continue to examine how often we having this monologue with ourselves. Are we really considering the feelings and emotions of other people? I didn't say this earlier, but I'll say this right now. One of the things being a Black man, and King did it, Malcolm X did it, and even, Sojourner Truth, all these people did it. When I began growing up, when I began to see these individuals or see examples of these individuals talking about it in more of and understand who they were, it affected how I saw myself, because the reality of the world I lived in, it was so full of great, and I was like, amazing white people who had done good things, but they didn't look like me. And it kind of made me feel some kind of way. Right? When I began to connect with Black people who did great things, I felt better about myself because I was connecting with people who looked like me, who did great things, because there was so much stereotypical stuff. And so when we're having this monologue with ourselves, we don't hear, well, how is this affecting other people? We don't see how it's affecting other people. We only see how it helps us. But I also realized that, which is an unfortunate thing, in order to truly have a dialogue, you must also consider giving up power. So we can go on social media and other places all day long and say what we feel, but until we put ourselves in a position to start taking power, it's not really going to be heard.
Right.
Yeah.
Or people not willing to give up power, it's not going to be heard. But anyway, so yeah, but we got to definitely have more of a dialogue, and not just our opinions being expressed.
Yeah. People, yeah, I think the most aggressive portion of that right there is just because it's what you feel don't make it true.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, people be killing me with it,
And
but
I
I
tell-
feel like, so what? It don't matter. Like you can feel like fire is cold all day. I promise it's gonna burn your goofy ass. It's gonna burn you. Like, and it's just feelings and facts do not go together. You know what I'm saying? You can have your personal interpretation, but it does not change the fact that concrete is hard, bro.
Yeah, and feelings can help inform your facts, can motivate you, inspire you in some ways, but you still need to take time to understand what's the factual information, so you can handle it appropriately. Yep. That's why I tell people to stop and think and evaluate what's going on before you act. All right, the next one. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Yeah.
Content. Think of content right now. We think about what we add into social media. Yeah. But when King was talking about content, he was talking about what was inside of us, who we are as a person,
right?
And being judged based on that, man. I mean, how you guys feeling, man? What y'all thinking about this?
No, that's on point.
I mean, that goes back to what we just said about the truth, you know, not being prejudged on who you think I am, but judge me on who I really am. You know, if you have a judgment towards me, let it be factual. Let you feel some type of way about me because you feel like I'm a bad person because you know I've done bad things.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't judge me to be a bad person if I truly am a good person, but you don't even know me. You know, you're prejudging me. So that whole prejudice aspect of how people view people, you know, judging the book by its, you know, judging the book by the cover, you know what I'm saying? Instead of really seeing what's the inside of that person.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? And getting to knowing who they truly are.
And like how you can know if you one of those people, like imagine this. If you ever seen something that was amazing to you, and this goes for anybody. If you seen something that was amazing to you, or you heard something that moved you or inspired you that was beautiful, and then you found out who it was by, and it wasn't your expectation, and you were shocked or taken aback that it was by, or that you had some type of prejudgment, you have some type of prejudice. You know what I'm saying? Like if you saw this amazing building and found out it was designed by a Black architect and went, oh,
really?
You're the problem, bro. You're the problem because anybody should be able to is capable of amazing things or horrible things, and it shouldn't be a thing where you feel like only somebody who looks like or is like whatever your predetermined mindset says. It should be the ones who are capable of things. All of us are. So yeah, on the context of my character, of who I am, of my abilities, my skills, none of what I look like on the outside has nothing to do with what I am capable of on the inside.
Facts.
Facts, man.
And I feel like too, like with your character. No, I was gonna say, like, even with your character, like in this world, all you got is your name. Not all you got, but like your name holds a lot, right? So I think that's what he meant by that. Like, don't judge me by the color of my skin, but judge me of who I am. Like, if I know how to conduct myself in the right way and I'm respectable and, you know, I'm intelligent, why does it matter what I look like? If I can get the job done, I can get it done at the end of the day, and I can be respectable how I move about it. You know, absolutely. So I was just second off of what you was just saying, just kind of like about what he said about that with like his daughters and stuff. But I feel like being judged, like, I know, like, at the end of the day, like, I'll be walking in rooms, I know for a fact, like, people looking at me like, what's he doing here? But then you have a conversation with me and you understand I can hold a conversation, and just because the color of my skin doesn't mean I shouldn't be here. But like, that's just still, it's crazy because it still lives to this day. And I don't think that's ever going to change, unfortunately.
No, I mean, it really just take a whole paradigm shift. Yeah, you gotta understand, because it ain't even just that. They might be also looking at you because you got a youth face. They like, oh no, you young, you don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's even beyond the color. It's, oh, you young, you couldn't possibly, like, bro, I know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? It's like the old dude working at the factory mad at his manager younger than him. It's like, dog, it don't matter that you've been doing this for 67 years. I know what I'm doing too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it even go beyond just color.
Yeah, that's to the point. That's so true. I was going to say really quickly, man. I've been a therapist for over being therapist for over 20 years. And sometimes people come to my office, we start talking, and people ask me, not that I have to tell them, like, how old am I? Because they assume, and sometimes I'm older than them.
No, really.
And I'll give them my resume, but I won't necessarily tell them my age. And I say, well, you do the math.
Right.
Yeah.
For real.
Because they say, well, you look young. That's what they say. You look young. So
Right.
yeah. So that
and sometimes, man, when you just good, you good. Because there's people I've been that have been doing things that I do, that have been doing it longer than I have, and I'm better than them. So your amount of experience is a factor, but it ain't the only factor.
Okay, gotcha. So we got a couple more of these I want to go over, fellas, and we gonna move on. I must confess, my friends, that the road ahead will not always be smooth. There will still be rocky places of frustration and meandering, points of bewilderment. There will be inevitable setbacks here and there, difficulty and painful as it is. We must walk on in the days ahead with all audaciousness and faith, audacious faith in the future. So look, y'all, we got it. Obviously, he's saying we got to keep moving, and think about in that time when brothers were still getting lynched, y'all.
Yeah.
Man.
knowing that at any small mistake you could be the next one, and still saying, you know what, y'all get dressed, we got to go outside.
That's having ultimate faith, man. Like, just to be able to not look at the current conditions, but just have enough, heart to want to keep pushing forward for the future, right? And knowing that, I mean, we look at the day we in right now, despite what difficulties we might be facing, we got a generation coming behind us that we got to keep on pushing for it. If we give up now, what are they gonna have to look forward to?
Exactly.
When did they have time to go to work, bro?
Hey, you know what?
Why you say that?
I'm just saying, damn, it was like, because if you wasn't there, you wasn't there. And I guess we could just talk to our elders and get more information. But it just feel like during the civil rights movement, it was just like they got up every day and was just outside marching, outside protesting, outside getting hosed, outside fighting, you know what I'm saying? Outside arguing. When did they have just a regular casual Saturday? You know what I'm saying? When did they just chill?
They wasn't even able to.
But that's what I'm saying. Damn, and then everybody still got to eat too. So they had to make money from somewhere. They had to do. Hey, when did y'all go to work? They was living full lives, having families, having wives, having kids, raising them, doing what they were supposed to do, working to the bone because they wasn't getting the type of pay that they should have been getting paid. We already know this wasn't even possible, and then still having to put on a suit and some hard bottoms and go march down the street to get bit by a dog. What? No, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not cut for civil rights. I would have been at the crib. Disappointment. I'm not gonna lie to you. Y'all want me to go outside and maybe die? I'm all right.
And you know what? When I hear that, I oftentimes think that we've and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, because the right person hear it, they'll use this as a clip.
Oh, for sure.
We've had it too good. So we don't know. We really don't understand how bad they had it, and so we've had it so too good. So they've taken the fight out of us. So we wouldn't be able to.
To an extent, that's true, though. You know,
but I mean, and that was the point. So thanks, y'all. You know what I'm saying? That was the point, because it shouldn't have had to be like that. And now we in a space where it don't have to be like that. Yeah. But I'm just thinking, damn, but at the same time, if that was our situation and our conditions, then our mindset would probably be different to it.
One thing I like about Germany, you ever go to Germany? I spent some time in Germany over 15 years ago or so, and I got this sense there, man, that you'll never forget what happened there. There's never this space where you'll forget what happened in Auschwitz and in the concentration camps. And I feel like sometimes in America, even with us in the overall society, there's this push to let's forget this happened.
Right.
Let's not think about it. You know, you living better, you're more comfortable, you wear the shoes you want to wear, you maybe live the way you want to. So let's just forget about what happened. We okay with y'all getting to this level, but you're not gonna that's it. You've made progress.
Mm-hmm.
But don't talk about it no more.
Right. But don't you dare forget 9/11.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Forget slavery in the hundreds of thousands of affected people by that. But you forget about that couple of hundred people in the buildings, though. No, don't ever forget about 9/11, baby, because that right there, that couple hundred people, crazy. Thousands, hundreds of years of slavery and thousands of affected people. Forget that. We don't have to talk about that. Y'all got Jordans now. But 9/11 though should always be in your heart.
But that's why I said that's why I was saying in the last episode, like I feel like the generation behind me, they didn't get the same education on Black history, on Martin Luther King, on Malcolm X as I did. Like it wasn't like when I was in school, and I'm not like, oh, like I'm only 30, but what I'm saying is like when I was in school during the Black History Month, we would actually do things. Like we would actually have projects. We would actually learn about what happened, who this person was, what did they do. They don't have that no more. They don't have that in school no more. So I feel like they disguise it to be that way. Because like my niece is 16. I know they're not doing anything. They might do like a little bit of stuff about, but they're moving. They're like, all right, let's move past it. Let's just keep going. Right. And then you got social media, you got things that distract you, you got things that make you really forget about all of that. And that's why I was saying in the last episode, I'm even at fault. I even got to do better with my research. I even got to do better and understand and go back to really figure out what Martin Luther King did and what Malcolm X and what those kind of people did back then. Like I even got to brush up on it. I know for sure I do. And I'm not saying that's like that all over. Like obviously down here in Atlanta, I'm pretty sure they push it heavy. But like up north in Cleveland, Ohio, those type of we talk about it a little bit, but we don't really do anything much about it. Mm-hmm. So like it's easy to forget because that's what they want us to do. They wanted us to forget. But they don't study it. They don't do the research. They don't do what we used to do back in the day. Like back then,
that's why you got to
about it, but we don't do anything. Like
that's why you got to stay on top of terms like critical race theory. You got to stay on top of critical race theory because before you know it, they will eliminate those type of education out of our school systems. So it's most important that we teach it in our own homes. But when you talk about the school system and to depend on the educational system to teach that type of history, it's gonna get eliminated before you know it.
Yeah. And like with our world being ran by social media, it's just easy for them to pump out whatever they want. So when it is like 9/11, they pumping that out. That's all over everywhere. Mm-hmm. When it's Black History Month or Martin Luther King Day, like we see it because we're Black, we're African American, so our feed organically happens that way. But nobody else, they don't see it. The world, I'm saying, I should say.
Right, exactly. A few more. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. A letter from the Birmingham jail. And look, I want to say this. I was talking to somebody just the other day trying to help them explore things. And they asked me, Mr. McGee, they said, Gerald, why do you care? And I said, because I realized that what has happened in my community can happen in another community. And if it can happen in that community, it can also happen back in my community. So I can't sit back and feel comfortable when I see people being judged and persecuted and treated wrong, because I realize what my experience has been and what it could also be. Mm-hmm. So I have to be mindful of that at all times. Mm-hmm. Because if it's good for them today, it'll be good for me tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Martin Luther King warns that we should never succumb to the temptation of bitterness. Which I think he was saying when he said that, never succumb to the temptation of bitterness.
I mean, I think that goes back to what we were talking about in the previous episode as well, like the attitude, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that attitude towards bitterness is really just it's wasted energy.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
it's easy to feed into it.
for sure. What will bitterness really
Yeah.
serve you? You know what I mean? Like how is that going to help you to get to a better point? You know, and it's really holding on to something, even though you can't forget something that was done. You know, but is it really going to serve you to hold on to a attitude of bitterness? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it kind of helps us. It doesn't. It keeps us in a box where we are like our bad experiences dictate how we see everything in front of us. So when we let go of the bitterness, we can see things more objectively. You know, so we can have a more positive attitude, uh, a more constructive outlook on life. Like when somebody says, "Well, things are just always happening this way, always happening that way." Well, you need to change some things. Well, it's easier said than done. They're stuck in the bitterness, that emotional space that keeps them locked in. It's like that trauma cage, I like to call it sometimes.
Mhm.
And we got to get out of that. There comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe nor politic nor popular, but he must take it because the conscience tells him it is right. Jeez, that is so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what do you say on that, right? It's like that's.
I mean,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm about to say it right. Yeah, that's low key one of them. It's just like, yeah, you right.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah, you right.
But doesn't it feel like people just be politicking now? Like this is said way back 1950s, 1960s. Here we go. We talking like this, and people politicking and just saying whatever they need to say to get through the moment or to whatever lie they gotta say.
Right.
But they really don't have no character. They really don't have no value. So they don't really speak from a place that you think something they really stand for. And I think what he's saying right here is, yeah, you need to stand for something or fall for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's stand for something. You see a lot of people right now, you'd be surprised. Like you thought they was about it, and they just is.
No, yeah, count me out as soon as it's like, whoa. This ain't what I thought. I'm out.
It's not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not what I signed up for. All right. And last one. I love this one. This is my favorite one. I don't know if you ever heard of a guy by the name of Joe Madison, the Black Eagle, but he was he died last year around this time. He was a Black radio host, and man, he was profound, man. You have to go listen to some cuts of him on YouTube, or because he was on Urban View on 126. You familiar with that station?
Urban View, yeah, I've heard of that.
Oh yeah, but he used to be on in the morning, man. Oh my, I loved him. But he used to always say this, and he said, "This is what Martin Luther King used to say: Nothing is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity." Nothing. How y'all feel about that?
That's real.
This is the last one.
Yes.
Pure ignorance and conscientious stupidity. Knowing that you stupid and just rolling with it. Rolling with the mentality of stupidity, right?
See, when I see this, so there are people who are sincerely ignorant. They don't know no better. So when they hear things, they see things, they believe it. People tell them stuff. They don't know no better. But he's saying that's harmful. But then you got these people who know,
yeah,
but they acting
They
stupid.
still
They playing dumb, but they know better. But they playing dumb.
No, it was a bunch of videos that came out where it would be dudes who would go out and take mics, and they would interview people at like Trump rallies, and they'd be like, "So would you support a person who did X, Y, Z?" And they'd be like, "Absolutely not." Like, so you would be against somebody who does that? Yes, I would never stand against somebody who does that. And then be like, "Here's proof that Donald Trump did that." And they're like, but I'm still gonna vote for him. And that's it right there. That's exactly it right there. You just said this is what I stand for. This is against who I am as a person. This is against my moral code. And then, but this person who you say that you like does it. Well, it ain't that bad then. That is that is horrifying, bro. Like that's
Yeah.
it's stupid. You willing to it like because at that point,
Conscientious
right?
stupidity.
Conscientious stupidity. You willing to go with whatever if it goes with whatever narrative. So you would. So there is nothing that you really stand for. You just gonna make sure that you stand over here with the flock. That right there, them people are useless, low key.
Yeah.
You know, because in my job, I help people with finding identity. Teenagers, we want to help them find identities. But in your intimate space, you want to have people around you, you know where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Because you never know. You don't want just anybody around you, man. So when you find people like that, it's better to not deal with them, because at the end of the day, whether you ignorant or whether you conscientious, you know better. At the end of the day, it's the same harm. It's the same threat.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's the same threat. Do you like when you think? Go ahead.
It's even a deeper threat when you know, though. You know, when you know that you're following stupidity, like that to me, that's even a deeper threat, because I feel like now you're helping a cause with your own well-being and well-knowing knowledge move towards destruction, you know, where I don't know. I just feel like that's a more dangerous threat.
So to me, I get you, but I think the consequence itself could be equal. Like the person over here who don't know no better, they engage in an act to hurt you. They don't know no better. The other person know you didn't do it. But at the end of the day, even though they didn't know, they still engaged in it, then the consequence for you is still the same.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, I think on a personal level, I actually agree with what you're saying. Somebody who know, because you feel like they're being more hypocritical.
Right.
And almost like you can almost can come with a little bit more momentum towards whatever that threat is, because you know that I'm following with this. I'm with this, instead of somebody who just kind of casually going with the flow of it. It's like I'm full steam with the momentum of stupidity. You know what I mean?
Right.
Rather than I'm just waving with the flow of stupidity. I'm full charge stupidity. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just
And you
seems
can't
like
reason
something
with
that
people
would
like
be a
that.
little bit more. What'd you say?
I just said you can't reason with people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I was gonna say? Conscientious ignorance or stupidity, right? It is definitely a powerful position, but the masses of people are probably ignorant. I'm sorry, in thinking about the way that King was saying it, and they engage in behaviors not realizing that they're doing it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, because of the masses of people that are engaging in that behavior,
we still being affected by it.
We tremendously being affected by it, because if though the mass of the ignorant would become enlightened, then the conscious stupid, the ones that know better, wouldn't be able to do it. Wouldn't be able to do what they did.
Right.
No, that's real.
That's why.
No, I can see that.
that becomes a so at the end of the day, yeah, I want to hold the ones that's aware more accountable, but I also realize the ones that follow it because they're not willing to read or be open to other ideas and abilities, other situations, they become just as a threat to me, because at the end of the day, they'll probably be the ones that'll be pulling you out your car.
Facts, though.
Yeah. The accountability piece is definitely more on those who are conscious, though, because
yes, I think so.
Almost like the word kind of speaks to, like, it's better to not know than to come of the know of the knowledge of something and still be walking in ignorance.
Like, for example, with medicine or food or the water or those things, you know that it's hurting people, but you don't care. But look, I give you the water to drink because I ain't thinking nothing wrong with it.
Right.
I ain't know.
I ain't know you was gonna get Montezuma's revenge, brother.
I ain't know that. Well, anyway, y'all got any other thoughts, feelings, ideas about the power of words and MLK before we close this one out?
Nah, man, words are always words important. Think before you speak. Before you speak. That's the best I got. Think before you speak. I always do. I try to make sure that there is some sort of filter before I open my mouth and let words fly. Because once the words are out, you cannot put them back.
Exactly. The
That's
foundation
true.
of all abuse begins with words. Okay, what nobody say. It begins with words we say and the body in our body language. Those two things.
Speak love, man. Speak love is it's a powerful thing, man. I got a song it's called Speak Love, and it just goes to the theme of how what you just said, like words are powerful, you know. You can cut like a two-edged sword. So either you can speak love or hate into existence, you know, and it's more powerful. You want to be of speaking love, you know, rather than hate,
Out on all streaming platforms.
for sure.
Ah,
More things.
yeah. See, he forgot that part.
Thank you,
Part.
sir. Thank you,
You
sir.
feel me?
It is. No,
Link in the
G.
description. You feel
No,
me?
Yo,
video.
for real.
There you go. There you go.
Man. Yeah, no, I would
What's
just
up, Reese?
piggyback off of what they said. Yeah, man, manifest good things, speak positivity. One bad moment doesn't equal a bad day or bad year or life. Having a good attitude, thinking positive. All those things will come back around and produce good fruit. So absolutely.
No, for sure.
Yes, sir.
Well, anyway, folks, if you like us, please leave your comments in the comment section. We love to hear from you. Also, have a good one. Enjoy your day wherever you are, knowing that the words you speak will inform your destiny. I'll talk to you later. Have a blessed one.